Hey, what's up guys? Matt Laidlaw here, coming to you from Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson, LA area's oldest, largest, and finest Harley-Davidson dealership. So today I'm going to be doing a test ride and review on the brand new 2018 CVO Street Glide. So this is a bike that got a lot of attention initially at the show. They have some cool colors this year. The bike I'm going to be doing a review on is the Gunship Gray, which is kind of a unique color that's getting a lot of attention this year. So I'm also going to be using a 2017 Street Glide as well to kind of compare and contrast the differences between the 2017 and the 2018 model year. Alright guys, so let me jump into this thing here. So 2018 CVO Street Glide. So this is the Gunship Gray. This color has been getting a lot of attention, and this is kind of like the unicorn of the Harley-Davidson world right now, meaning they are very rare, and this is a difficult bike to find. This and the Road Glide in the same Gunship Gray. So let me kind of go over some of the features on this bike here. So it comes with the LED daymaker in the front, blacked out version of course. It has the LED turn signals as well. This is a 19-inch front wheel. The thing that's kind of cool about this color too is you've got a color matched front wheel, so it's like that same Gunship Gray finish on the wheel as well. Here you also have the color matched cover for the oil cooler there, and you've got lower leg fairings on this bike. One of the big changes they did this year is they no longer have this bike a twin cooled bike. Instead, they put speakers in the lower leg fairings. The other big thing they did is they also went to 117 cubic inches in the 2018 model year. Last year in the 2017 model year, it was 114 cubic inches. So they went to a bigger bore. It's not in the stroke. The stroke is the same. They went to a bigger bore. So here's a shot of the speakers. So the third major change or upgrade they did to the Street Glide this year is they added an additional 2 speakers. So this bike has a total of 6 speakers with 3 amps, a total of 900 watts and 150 watts per channel per speaker. So here's a shot of the center console here. So it's a really clean center console that hasn't really changed. When you turn the bike on, it illuminates and it highlights that custom vehicle operation emblem there in the center console. You don't have the ignition on the fob where it locks the fork. Instead, it's all keyless. You just hit the run switch and it fires up. Here's a shot of the seat. Really slick, premium Harley-Davidson CVO emblem there in the back of the the rider seat. You got this really cool crosshatch in orange stitching here. This bike has a lot of orange highlights on it. You got the stretched bags, of course, on this bike. All the components on this color are all blacked out. So, you know, everything from your exhaust, your floorboards, all your engine covers all blacked out. Here's a shot of the rear fascia. Then this style has kind of been uniform for several years now. They went to this in about 2010, and this color is really nice. This has been a popular color in the custom car and motorcycle world now for, you know, several months now, and Harley-Davidson tried to, you know, have a swing at it, and I feel like they did a really good job. I've had a lot of people that say that they hate this color. They say it looks like primer. I'm not sure how they see that, but that's fine. You either love it or you hate it, I guess. And here's another shot. You got the saddlebag speakers, of course, and you also got 2 speakers in the fairing as usual. So you got the 117 cubic inch derby cover there. The rocker box covers, you can see the orange highlights, and the horn cover, orange highlights there as well. So really slick color scheme this year. And you have those vents on the lower leg fairings as well to open up to allow more air to pass over the engine. If it's a hot day, if it's a cold day, you shut those and you have less wind on your legs. So blacked out front forks, dual disc brakes in the front as always on the touring bikes, of course. and a little bit different windshield as well. This is considered a wind splitter windshield on this bike. And you've got, here's a close-up of the brakes, Brembo brakes. That's been like that since 2009. Of course, the bike comes with ABS. This is a CVO after all. It comes with everything. And the collection of controls you have here, I believe, is called the Airstream collection. And it's all blacked out, of course. So your floorboards, your brake pedal, your grips, all uniform. I will say another thing that they did this year on the CVO Street Glide is they put heated grips. So you did not have heated grips in years past on the Street Glide CVO, just on the Ultra Limited. Here's a shot of the gauges. This is another kind of subtle change as well. The gauges kind of have this 3D pop out of the dash effect with like these hoods on them. Kind of reminds me of like a high-end sport car or something like that, like a Corvette or something like that. And the infotainment system, 6.5-inch boom audio, that's all kind of been the same since 2014. The speakers, they're considered a boom audio stage 2 setup. Here's a kind of a side profile shot of the gauges there. Again, they kind of pop out at you in like a cone shape. So press the I button. You have the tire pressure monitoring system. Here's a shot of that, so you can monitor your tire pressure electronically from the dash there. So that's kind of slick. This bike also comes with Sirius XM satellite radio. So you've got that receiver on there already. You can see the button there. And it comes with, it's either 1 or 3 months of free service with the bike. And then after that, I think XM radio is like $10 a month. This little trigger switch will tell you too, your front and rear wheel, the tire pressure. You got an odometer there, a trip A, a trip B, and then how many miles you have before you run out of gas. And when you're rolling down the road, that also tells you what gear you're in as well. You've got the saddlebag locks here as well. So you can lock and unlock the saddlebags from the dash. That's a feature that in years past has only been on the Electra Glides since 2007. It's been on the CVO Electra Glides. So in this model year, you have that option from the dash. I can't remember if they did that last year or not, but I know it's somewhat recent. I was just showing you there the USB cable. That's nothing unique or special to the CVO models. Everything in 2014 and later have that. That's a fairing model bike. The key on these CVOs is pretty slick. You got a flip out key there. That's your barrel key. And then you've also got the lock and unlock button for your saddlebags on there as well. So the barrel key is going to be used for your fork lock. And it can also be used for your saddlebags, but more times than not, you'll probably use the unlock button on your dash or on your key to unlock your saddlebags. You got the slick custom vehicle operation insignia on the key as well. I want to say they went to this key 2 years ago. Before that, it was 2 separate pieces. So here's a 2016 CVO Street Glide. I'm going to show you some of the differences here. So on the 2016, you have pretty much the same lighting, just you have a little bit more of the chrome trim, like around the headlamp there. The lower legs, so the lower forks, are chrome as well. A little bit different style of wheel. They call that the aggressor wheel. And so yeah, a little bit different. And you have the 114 cubic inch engine on here. Now here's a big difference. So these are the radiators here. So on the previous model year, they had a twin cooled setup. You can see the hoses down there as well. So this bike had Harley-Davidson's twin cooled Milwaukee 8, which is currently on like your Limiteds and your CVO Ultra Limited in the 2018 model year, but no longer the Street Glide. So, and as you can see here, there are no speakers in the lower leg fairings. So you've got speakers in the saddlebag lids, and then you've got the usual 2 speakers in the fairing there. So only 4 speakers, and there is 1 amp in the fairing and 1 amp in the saddlebag, whereas on the new 2018 you got 1 amp in each of the 2 different saddlebags, and then 1 of the amps is in the fairing as well. So the dash, you can see, is a little bit different. It's a little bit more plain. You don't have the gauges that kind of protrude from the dash there. And the exhaust is chrome, for example, and on the new 2018 it's all black, so more of that all blacked out look. And I will say there is one color in the 2018 model year, the lava orange, that comes with a lot of the chrome. Everything you see that's black on this gunship gray is chrome on the lava orange one. So, it just kind of depends on what color you get. The seats kind of change as well. But the style of paint, I really like the 2017s. They look real good, but I just feel like this year in the 2018 model year, the stylists were just a little bit more in tune with what people want to see in the paint, and kind of your flames and your, striped stuff is, in my opinion, kind of going out of style a little bit. So it doesn't look bad, but I don't feel like it's really in tune with what's really in style anymore. So yeah, here's a shot of this seat, for example. And the blacked out dashes and everything. And you can see the chrome trim around at the bottom of the windshield there. Chrome fork lock there. The grips are chrome with the black rubber inserts on there. Same stage 2 boom audio speakers like in the fairing and in the saddlebag lids though. One more significant upgrade that I almost forgot to mention, in the 2017 model year you still had the wire for the headset, so there's a port right to the left of the infotainment system where you got to plug in your headset, whereas in 2018 they all went wireless, so you get the wireless headset and the wireless receiver that piggybacks on the radio on these new 2018. So I get a lot of questions about power, so I'm going to show you guys some specifics on what the power differences are between the 114 cubic inch and the 117 cubic inch. So this is out of the Screaming Eagle catalog, and this is corrected rear wheel. So this is actually what you will feel power to the road. So the 114 produces 110 foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPM, and then the 117 cubic inch produces about 115 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500 RPM. So a little bit further up the RPM range to produce the max torque for this 117, and I definitely felt that when I rode the bike as well. So let's go to horsepower here. So in the 114 cubic inch, you've got a little less than 90 horsepower at 5,000 RPM. So let's call it like 88 horsepower at 5,000 RPM. And then on the 117 cubic inch, the max horsepower actually comes on earlier. So we're looking at about 92 horsepower at 4,500 RPM. So kind of interesting. And I will say too that the torque curve is a little bit flatter on the 117 as well. So you have that torque further along in the RPM range as well. So yeah, it's definitely better power on the 117. But it's interesting how, because of the cam differences, your max power and horsepower and torque is produced at different RPMs. So hopefully that shows you guys and gives you guys a little bit of an insight to how the power matches up. So here's some just really clean shots, some nice photography found on Harley-Davidson.com of the motorcycle and some highlighted points on the bike. So here's your available colors. I'm a real big fan of this color too. It's called dark alloy and black denim. This is a close second favorite of mine. What's cool about it is you have both a gloss paint on it and a denim paint. It is paint. That's a big question I get asked a lot, is there a decal over it? And that's what makes that denim matte finish. No, it's all paint. This is a manufacturing or paint process that no one has attempted to do before, and Harley did a good job this year on it. This is the second color, orange lava and black denim. That's the color I was telling you about that has a lot of the chrome covers on it and chrome finishes. If you don't like the black, a lot of people don't necessarily like the blacked out look. And here's your third and final, the gunship gray, which is the color I'm using in this video here. And this is my personal favorite. The orange lava would probably be my third preference if I had to put them in order of how much I liked them. So let me jump into some stats here. So at the crank, it's 124 foot-pounds of torque. Any motorcycle or car manufacturer that quotes power, horsepower, whatever, they always quote it at the crank. But as I showed you, at the rear wheel, it's actually about 115 foot-pounds of torque. So the price is $39,949. That's MSRP. Most dealers in the world right now are actually asking above MSRP on these bikes just because of how rare they are. So there, the bore, it's 4.075 inches. The bore on a 114 is 4 inches even. Compression ratio is down a little bit from the 114 cubic inch, so it's 10.2 to 1 compression ratio. On the 114, I believe it's a 10.5 to 1 compression ratio. So the MSRP, in case I didn't say this already, is up, I want to say $2,000 to $3,000 this year. Front wheel is a 19-inch wheel. Rear wheel is an 18-inch wheel. I will say on the Road Glide this year, you have a 21-inch front wheel. So that was kind of the big news this year on the CVO Road Glide. Weight on this bike is 877 pounds. So engine torque, once again, 124 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500 RPM. So your shift point, to kind of stay in the max power range, your shift point on the 117 is later in the RPM spectrum than on the stock 114 build. I mean, on the 114, you're going to want to shift to stay like in the max torque area. You want to shift around, right after 3,000 RPM. It's more of a low-end torque, low RPM torque peak area. So speakers, 6 speakers on 18 model year bike, up from 4. Alright, so let me jump into this thing here. So guys, as far as custom baggers go, really the CVO Street Glide is pretty much the pinnacle, the best of the best, all makes and manufacturers included in the world. So as far as ultra premium finishes, stereos, wheels, and everything, lighting, bags, really the CVO Street Glide is the benchmark in the motorcycle industry for a custom touring bagger. Really, the only thing that you can go to above this is a CVO Ultra Limited, which is geared more towards long distance traveling. So you add the tour pack, more storage capacity, more travel in the suspension, bigger, more padded seats that are heated as well. So this is kind of your sporty styling and like custom big wheels, nice finishes on the wheels, awesome ultra premium sound system. So the stereo on these things is the best in the world as far as OEM motorcycles go. You will not find a better stereo system, louder, crisper stereo in the world on any motorcycle. So yeah, these 6 speakers absolutely bump. And so yeah, the stereo is awesome. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to demo it because of music copyright issues and all that stuff. I can't really demo the sound system on these things. So just to comment on the 117, this 117 engine does like to be run at a higher RPM. So for the guy that just likes that low RPM, low torque, this probably won't have any advantage over the 114. But the guy that likes to run it out a little bit higher RPM, you will see a power increase in this 117 setup. The cam's a little bit different, and so you have a flatter, longer torque curve, so you get that torque longer in the RPM range. On the 114, it peaks at about 3,000, 3,200 RPM, and then it quickly drops off. So you're going to be shifting at a closer or a sooner RPM than on this 117. So yeah, there's that. And then the idling, I will say the idle on this bike without the twin cooling, you do have more heat on this 117. It's not nearly as much as the old twin cam 110s were though, that before the twin cooling came along in the 2014 model year. Those bikes all run really hot, and like your S models, like the 110, twin cam 110 and the Lowrider S, the Fat Boy S and the Slim S, those bikes emit a lot of heat and they don't like to stand still in high temperatures at all. This bike still does, with the Milwaukee 8, does really well in heat and at an idle, even without the twin cooling. But I will say, I feel like maybe 20 to 30% more heat comes up on you as the rider than when compared to the 114, the 2017 CVO Street Glide. So moving on to a couple other things. Things like the clutch. You have a hydraulic clutch on this bike. That's nothing new that came out in all the baggers in 2014. But I'm a real big fan of the hydraulic clutch on these bikes. The gauges and everything are really easy to read. You've got the really nice backing on the gauges that's different than your regular CVO Street Glide. So let me jump into who I'd recommend this bike to. This bike is for someone that just wants a fully decked out Street Glide, wants a fully decked out bagger, but doesn't want the big tour pack and everything all geared towards the grandpa glide, I guess you could call it. Although I don't really feel like the CVO Ultra is really a grandpa glide, but this is your around town look cool type of bike. And usually a lot of times a comment that I get a lot is guys will buy like a Street Glide special and deck it all out, and then they look back and they're like, damn, I could have just bought the CVO and paid just as much money and really gotten more stuff. So really, if you add it all up, guys, you really get a lot of accessories on this bike for your money. I think we did the math one time, and if you try to turn a Street Glide special into a CVO Street Glide, you're gonna spend, I want to say, like $25,000 in just accessories, and that doesn't include the engine. So yeah, you really do get a lot of bang for your buck. If you plan on spending 15-20 grand on your Street Glide, well, you might want to consider just getting the CVO. Plus you got the exclusivity on this bike as well. And so yeah, it's just doing the math, it might be better for you to do the CVO. A lot of people, I just bought my bike recently, a lot of people thought I was going to get this CVO, and I actually thought about it. But the reason I didn't is because I wanted to make something unique to me. And that's kind of one argument that you might find for not buying the CVO, is you can make something that's unique that no one else in the world has. Whereas if you buy the CVO, well, there's several other people in the world that have the bike. But if you're not looking to flex your creative muscles, then bang for your buck, the CVO Street Glide, even with the price increase, is pretty damn good. You would be hard pressed to find a equivalent out there that someone just built on their own, kind of piecemeal. So the lean angle's decent on these bikes. For a touring bike, the lean angle's pretty dang good. I've ridden Street Glides now for a long time. I'm on my second now. I just bought my second Street Glide special. The lean angle's about the same. Sure, you can scrape, but really, riding it pretty good through the canyons. I find myself never scraping accidentally. So yeah, the lean angle is not bad. As far as wind deflection goes, the windshield, it's more geared towards looks than functionality. The bike is extremely comfortable on the freeway. As I rode on the freeway this day, this thing's a Cadillac. The ride comfort is extremely good. It is not as good as the CVO Ultra Limited though, due to the shorter suspension. These CVO Street Glides are factory lowered bikes, so you don't have as much travel in the suspension and you don't have as plush seat. You do have the heated grips on this model year. You don't have them on the 17 model year. The heated grips are pretty dang good. They work really well. They take about 10 to 15 minutes to heat up, but once they get going, they definitely keep your hands toasty. But a lot of guys that buy these Street Glides, they say, well, you know, I still get a lot of headwind. Yeah, most people are still going to get some headwind with this chopped, smoked windshield. I certainly do. I'm 6 foot 6 inches tall, and so I got quite a bit of headwind on this. But I'm too prideful, and I care about looks too much to put a bigger, tall, clear windshield on there. So I don't mind a little bit of headwind. I always ride with a full face helmet now. I've been converted as of 3-4 years ago. With a full face helmet on here, these bikes, there's really nothing better. The comfort's really good as far as your wind deflection goes and everything. You got the flush mounted gas cap on this bike as well on the right. Pretty clean setup. Hydraulic clutch is really good, smooth actuation. That's really nothing new. They came out with a hydraulic clutch on these fairing model bikes in the 2014 model year. As far as cons go on this bike will not handle and accelerate as well as the new Softails. So if you want a bike that really performs to the max, if you want a bike that's going to carve the canyons and you can ride extremely aggressively, I would steer you towards a Softail. The Softails, the new Softails, especially like your Fat Bob, your low riders, those things just haul ass and are really good at handling and the power to weight ratio. I mean, I would almost say out of the whole, the 107 probably would keep up with this 117. But I think once you got out on the open highway on a straightaway, this 117 would blast by it, especially since you have the comforts of the fairing and everything. So not quite as agile and quick and as far as acceleration goes as the new Softails. So I don't know if I'd really call that a con, but for a bagger, they accelerate and handle extremely well. Most people are very surprised at how well these bikes handle for a big, heavy bagger. Anyways, guys, if I was able to help you out, please like the video and give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead and subscribe and help me out. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.